Gary Nasai Minasan. Today we're gonna talk about Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger episode 13. Most of the time when I watch an episode of a show that I'm currently enjoying, I don't really love nonsense humor. I don't like nonsense comedy in my show itself because I usually watch a story for the purpose of the drama, of the plot, of the story itself. So I don't really much care for comedy, okay? But a well executed comedy in a show itself is something that is really rare to see, and I felt like this episode of Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger did that really well. They use comedy to further progress the plot. They use comedy to show how much does Yanma actually cares about this venom shooter from Jeramie itself. But at the same time, we will also kind of like we can also blame how Jeramie is not really straight to the point and all those stuff. Like the demeanor of him speaking is kind of like in a roundabout way. But I felt like if you actually pay attention to what he is saying, you would definitely know like he actually really treasure the venom shooter itself. If not, then he wouldn't want to actually like he wouldn't just like defend it at all costs. Like he would like allow Yanma to study it immediately, but he was like seeing Yanma, is he trustworthy, is he gonna do something towards my venom shooter, something like that. But Yanma actually kind of like gain his trust but actually loses the trust both at the same time. Okay, so this is really interesting. I just want to get this out of the way because this way of story writing is something that I can get behind, because for the past few episodes I felt like the humor in Ohsama Sentai is a little bit forceful, like especially like the coffin scene of how them are how are they gonna introduce Gira back, how Gira is gonna be welcomed back as kind of like a zombie, a robot, and all this stuff. All those humor I really felt like is a little bit forced. But this episode, I felt like the humor was being used in a really smart way to further the plot. So that is a good thumbs up from me, okay? But with that being said, we need to talk about a few things that we learned from this episode itself. So we learned that the three greater guardian deity is actually underneath the sugar dam after they are being kidnapped by the Bugnarak itself. So it is really curious, like why does the Bugnarak actually put them under the sugar dam? A few possibility here. One of the possibility that I can actually think of is because they believe that if they actually gather the souls of the three greater guardian deity, they are gonna be able to control them. They are able to kind of like summon them from the ground of sugar dam and destroy sugar dam in a split second, something like that. But that is not what actually happened. Okay, and we actually get to see Jeramie giving, like, first he gave the soul of Scorpy to Himeno, and then we actually get to see him giving the soul of Bata to the Bugnarak, but he keep one for himself, which is the soul of Kabutan. So we got three different soul, and the reason why he give all three different party, the rest of the party, they are all three greater guardian deity soul, is because it was supposed to represent that they are on the same level, they are on the same equal footing. So you know how there is no negotiation if there is no respect for the other party itself. So if like a master wouldn't actually entertain any request or any negotiation from a slave itself. Like this, like, you are a slave, you do what I say. That is a relationship between a master and a slave. But that is not what Jeramie wants to do. Jeramie wants to kind of like keep them at an equal level. So it's like he's actually trying to view like human and Bugnarak as an equal. But we know that the Desanara Emperor doesn't actually see that. Okay, like the Desanara actually see human as a lesser being, and he actually proud himself to be like a more evolved species, and the greater species, something like that. So that is something that definitely they are gonna work on. But we also get to see Jeramie being really OP in this episode, because like he's able to take down the entirety of the King-Ohger. But there's also a possibility that they are not really fighting all out as well, because like they are fighting with Jeramie. They are not expecting Jeramie to kind of like to fight them, to be the enemy that they need to fight. So maybe there's also another reason why they actually lose so easily to Jeramie itself. But then again, the ability of Jeramie is really OP. When he summoned God Tarantula, holy shit, the entire sky just went dark, and I love it. I love the design of God Tarantula. But I really did not expect that we are gonna see the God Centipede and also God Cicada both at the same time. Okay, this is really insane stuff. But with that being said, let me move on to the next thing, because one thing we need to think about here is like, where does the Venom shooter actually came from? Okay, I would believe that the Venom shooter that Jeramie actually used, he actually owns that Venom shooter even before his mask was being put on, something like that. Or maybe after he got put on the mask and all those stuff, after a while he gained himself the Venom shooter. I'm not so sure whether or not we actually see him uses the Venom shooter before he took off the mask or not, but I would assume that he actually possessed the Venom shooter before that. Okay, so based on what we hear, okay, listen to what Jeramie, I don't know why I want to explain what I'm trying to say, but okay, what I'm trying to say is like, based on what we understand about the Venom shooter, I would assume that the Venom shooter is actually maybe it was designed and created by his mom, or maybe like his mom became the Venom shooter itself, because we don't see her mom anyway. So maybe before she passed away, she's like, oh man, like turn me into a weapon so that you can use me, something like that. So that is a possibility. But then again, I am not so sure how does the Venom shooter actually came about. So this is really interesting. And the next thing we actually get to hear is we get to learn, oh my god, I am stuttering all over in this episode review, I'm so sorry, but bear with me. Okay, let me move on to the next thing. Yanma. Okay, we are talking about Yanma in this episode because shit, the Gosopa is a really interesting place. After the attack of the Furious of God, like it looks like a junkyard. Okay, it literally looked like a junkyard. Everything is a mess, and they used to be the manufacturing factory for the sugar dam. But after what happened to Yanma, like he actually built, I am not so sure whether or not Yanma is the one that actually built up the Gosopa from the ground up. He literally craft his own kingdom. If he actually did that, it is really amazing. Okay, because like from young Yama, when he was young, the entire Nankosopa is a junkyard after the attack of the Furious of God. So one thing we will understand is that the attack of Furious of God does not only invade Ishabana, but it also infected Nankosopa. It also infected, I would assume, Tofu, Sugar Dam, and all of the rest of the entire world. The Furious of God is on them. Okay, so I am really curious to see how different country, like what is the aftermath of the Fury of Gods in the other country itself, because we might actually learn that the reason why like the sister of Kaburagi Dibowski is with Rakles right now is due to the Fury of Gods. There is also a possibility that is the reason why the sister is at that site right now. Okay, so we are not sure what is gonna happen and moving forward, like how much truth we are gonna learn. But I really is admiring how Yama is building everything from the ground up, from the factory to a kingdom that is really insane. Okay, but with that being said, let me move on to the next thing. Okay, and that is what Jeramie talks about, which is the history beyond the 2000 years. So this is really interesting, because if you really think about it, the story that is beyond the 2000 years is the story of Ohsama Caliber Zero, the origin of the King-Ohger Zero itself, because there needs to be a reason, like where does King-Ohger came from, like because on in the history book of the legendary King-Ohger, there is no mentioning of the Ohsama Caliber Zero itself. So every single thing that we see that is not stated in the legend of King-Ohger belongs to the history beyond 2000 years ago. So I would assume, like, when Reckless actually like wow, why are you asking me about the origin story, like where does Bugnarak come from and all those stuff, like I felt like definitely Reckless knew the truth that Bugnarak was human itself, because we actually saw this in the Secret of Reckless. He learns that the scientist that is actually researching Ohsama Caliber Zero, when she touches the sword of Ohsama Caliber Zero, she actually became Bugnarak itself. So I would assume that is kind of like a side effect of the Ohsama Caliber Zero. If you are not of like royalty blood, then when you touch the sword using a little bit of DNA of the what do I say, the royalty blood or sweat or whatever, like you're gonna be turned into a Bugnarak itself, because that is kind of like quite similar to the plot of Spider-Man if you really think about it. In the Amazing Spider-Man, when like Harry actually tried to, is it Harry or I don't know who actually tried to use the blood of Spider-Man or something like that, like, but they ended up creating something else. They end up creating the lizard, they ended up creating the Green Goblin, something like that. So it is really insane. Okay, but I am really loving this episode, especially with how OP Jeramie actually is. A lot of people actually says that Jeramie is gonna be our fan favorite moving forward, but I highly doubt it. Okay, like I would actually love not to see Jeramie in the opening song so fast, especially when he is actually clumped together with the rest of the Ranger, because I felt like one of the way for them to really write the story of Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger is to show that Jeramie to be the anti-hero, like the anti-villain. I am not so sure what to actually call this character, but the character that is the both enemy to both the humans and also to Bugnarak itself, because I felt like one of the way to get the Bugnarak and human to work together is to have a common enemy, and Jeramie is the perfect character to be that common enemy. Okay, so if he were to become the common enemy for both Bugnarak and also human, they will stop fighting, and they are definitely gonna be forced to work together to take down this ultimate force itself. And we surely sees that what do I say, like Jeramie has the ability to actually do that. Okay, he is able to control like the three greater guardian deity, he is able to control the centipede, he is able to control the cicada. So it is really plausible. But with that being said, that is all from me regarding Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger episode 13. Next week is gonna be really interesting, because there is a lot of things we can talk about. Like Himeno is gonna confront Jeramie, like, are you the killer that of my parents, something like that. So all of these things, like, is Jeramie involved in the Furies of God? Because right now we learn that he is like 2000 years old, so definitely he might have something to do with the Fury of Gods. We are not sure, but all of these things are really interesting. And that is all from me. Hope you enjoy, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. And if you made it this far into the video, I want to leave you a word so that you can comment in the comment section below to let me know you finished the video. And the word today is What should be the word today? Let me think. Maybe let's go with white, okay? Because I felt like the word white recently is a little bit you don't really say that you are a white person right now, something like that. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not white, I'm Asian. So goodbye. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.